Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Bible study for everyone. Today is day number 9, and so we are in Mark chapter 9. Once again, I'm Matt, and I'm going to be your facilitator today. So, Mark chapter 9, as all of the chapters in Mark are, is packed with information. And so, I'm going to do my best to focus on one point today, and that point is going to be faith and lack of faith. So, most of this is going to be in the first half of the chapter. The chapter begins with Peter and James going up to a mountain with Jesus, and Jesus is transfigured before them. And during this time, God overshadows them with a cloud and calls out and says that Jesus is his beloved Son. And once this finishes, Jesus says, "You guys ought to tell no one about this." And they accept that. But then they start questioning and they say, "But what about the prophecy of Elijah and how he's supposed to come first?" And so this is the first step of lack of faith. So Jesus quickly makes it clear that Elijah has come. And we know this is in the form of John the Baptist. Then the next section is really where I want to stick in. And so what happens is Jesus heals a boy with an evil spirit. And this is a spirit that the apostles themselves could not cast out. And so they figured that it wasn't possible. And so, why do I say this is about a lack of faith? Well, look at verses 22 to 24. It says, "And it has often cast him into fire, into water, to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And so, the father of this son is saying, "Well, if you can," and Jesus quickly responds, "If you can, all things are possible for one who believes." And immediately the father of the child cried out and said, "I believe, help my unbelief." And then at the end of this section, Jesus said, "This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer." And some manuscripts say fasting as well. And so the point here is that deep faith is what drove this demon out of this boy. Deep faith, the faith that Jesus had, the faith that the apostles did not have at that point. Faith comes in different forms. There's levels, and Jesus is the pinnacle of faith. The apostles were great examples, and they had faith, and they were able to cast demons out of some people, but certain times they couldn't because they lacked that faith. And so I want to ask you guys today, where do you stand in your faith journey? They call it a walk with Jesus for a reason. We're supposed to always be getting closer and closer to that pinnacle form of Jesus. And the word of the day today is going to be help. Just like he said here in verse 24, the Father said, "Help my unbelief." Pray that prayer today, and we'll talk next time. See you guys.